All right, so here we are. We're with Soulrstar, aka JB. Just I think off the bat, like, what name do you prefer, or does it really matter?
Doesn't really matter. I've gone by so many over my life. JB is the most frequently used. But some people call me Solar Star. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
Some people call me by my government name. That's all right too. But yeah.
Okay, because yeah, I usually affiliate it. I'm like, that's JB, and then Soulrstar. I feel like I connect that more with like your music, like if I was referring to that.
That makes sense.
Um, so I would say off the bat, I think you're known for Art Home for sure. Like first of all, so I would just say like, what made you kind of want to start that space in general?
Well, I was working on an album, and my friends at that time were coming over to like paint while I would be working on stuff. And that was kind of, I guess, the spark of the idea that like making different artistic things at the same time was like kind of an energy loop builder. And then one night I just had a dream basically that my house was too big, and I kept walking by people that were like, I need a space to create. And I was like, oh, my house is too big. And I just like kept walking by people and saying the same thing until it just kind of clicked. And I woke up and it was like 3 something on an 3 a.m. on a Monday. And I just started, I was like, all right, I'm going to do it now or else I won't do it. So
Okay, I feel like I should have maybe backtracked like Art Home in general. So Monday nights, can you just kind of explain to everybody like what that is exactly?
God, well, that's the $1,000,000 question, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. I literally just invited my friends over. It's pretty different every week. I guess just like an open source creative spot. I just try to provide things for people to create with, canvases, instruments, and I just kind of let creative people come be creative. And I don't know. I don't really do that much besides just kind of let people be themselves.
I kind of want to give a little like anecdote on that really fast. So Art Home for me has just been a place I can come like decompress. Pretty much one of the first things I did like when I moved to Tulsa was like come to Art Home, and that just opened up like a lot of doors for me because I met a lot of people and I've seen it grown so much like within the past year. So I appreciate you in the space.
Yeah, that was brave. I remember when you hit me up on Twitter, and I was like, damn, a stranger's just going to come through.
I felt the same way. I felt the same way.
Oh, no, I wasn't worried at all. I was like, wow, she's got some balls. And yeah, then you came, and it's been a pleasure having you the whole time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would say also, so you do music, and I know you have like a million hobbies. Do you kind of want to share, anything you think that people should know? Just like why you're so creative, or, why you want to create creative spaces for creative people.
Man, well, when I was little, my mom had a quote. I would always be like, Mom, I'm bored. She'd be like, only boring people get bored. And so then I would just kind of go do something, I'd be like, damn, yeah, you got my ass. And then go do something exciting instead of being boring or whatever. So that was kind of like the flair of like just getting tons of hobbies and being creative. The creative space was just because I have always kind of been put in a box certain ways and never really had a chance to, I don't know. It's something I needed, so I just was trying to like create, I guess, the environment that I needed, and it turns out that there were other people that also needed that environment. Yeah.
Okay, for the most part with your music and like even your photography stuff, I know you have, your band, Fern Dad. Where do you see, like, what do you like to do most, or is it together?
Man, I think that's probably another reason why I end up doing so many things is that I can't really like just choose one thing. Like I get bored of something eventually. And so when I get bored of something, I just start doing something else, because I don't want to be a boring person and be bored. So that's really what happens. I don't know if I could choose any of them. I think they each serve different purposes for my own personality. Like music, I usually do when I'm feeling down or like I don't know, or just need to like release. And honestly, photography a lot of times is when I'm just feeling like creative and a little bit happier, I guess. I don't usually do photography a lot when I'm feeling down. Same with videography. I'm like, it's more of a better mood thing, and music a lot of time is like downtime. Like, I don't know.
That's interesting. I feel like it's cool to have, different hobbies for like different moods. Because even with music, like a lot of people, you can create when you feel a certain way, then sometimes you don't want to express that into like a song or something. So I feel like I'm really envious of you in your life because you just seem so chill. So like what keeps you there and kind of like the life you live, like you create and kind of, it seems like you do what you want.
That's what's kept me there. I mean, it's not always been, I guess, beneficial or not always been like this good. I just kind of kept doing it. I think when I was 24 years old, I was 24, 2012, I was homeless in Idaho for like a year and a half. And I really just ended up going homeless because I was just doing what I wanted. And at that time, fitting into society wasn't that, wasn't something I wanted. So I think proving to myself that I was willing to go that far to do what I wanted to do was just kind of like a throttling force for my future of like, oh shit, it doesn't really matter where I'm at or what's going on. As long as I'm doing what I want to do and, doing things that bring myself joy and bring other people around me joy, then, I'm fine. So I just kind of kept doing that, and everything just builds over time. It's not like a one day thing. It's like you turn around after 5 years and you're like, damn, I did a lot of shit in 5 years.
I'm not gonna lie that I feel like we got closer that day you told me that story, and I just couldn't believe it. And I was like, it just kind of made me look at things a little differently because you basically were just like, I'm living this life, but like I want to change it, and you did. And I just appreciate that, and I envy that. But I don't know if I'd just go homeless. I don't know.
It's not for everybody. Like I will say there's a lot of times that are really hard, but overall, really, like that was some of the freest and happiest days I've had. Definitely some of the worst struggles were in there as well, but there's just like something about like being like, wow, I'm a free person, able to make my own choices, whatever those may be, bad, good, I don't know, whatever it is. And it seems like something that should be just common sense, but I guess sometimes it takes like doing crazy stuff to, I don't know. It's almost like if you don't push your limits, you'll never know that you have any, I guess.
That gives me, that story gives me the feeling of like letting go.
That's, for sure.
And I feel like I need to do that. Everybody needs to do that. But, maybe, I don't know, in different ways, like maybe it can happen, without the full.
Yeah, no, I don't think it has to be that extreme. It really was like letting go of expectations and letting go, like expectations for myself and what I had for my life, because no one knows what's in the future. So like creating these crazy expectations for yourself really was just setting myself up for a lot of failure anyways. So I think that was just comforting overall to be able to feel that like, oh shoot, I'm free and I can do, really whatever I want, and wherever I land is going to be just fine.
Yeah, I'm glad you did go through that because, that made you kind of like continue this life, and like you've provided opportunities and spaces for people. And like speaking of that, I kind of wanted to touch on the Art Home Showcase. I personally thought that was really cool of you to do. If you kind of want to explain like what that was and what made you kind of want to put that together.
Yeah, so Gary Mason, he goes by DJ No Name. That's my manager for Soulrstar. He had a residency at Mercury Lounge, and so because he's my manager, he hit me up and he's like, hey, you want to do a show? And it was on Monday night, and I was like, I didn't really want to like take my band and do a show and like, kind of just end a night of Art Home. So I asked him if he'd be down to just kind of let us bring as many people as possible, and he was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So yeah, shout out to Gary for real for being that open, and Mercury. And they actually invited us back. They liked it so much that they tried to get us to come open for somebody else, which I just thought it was too soon afterwards. But, I'm sure sometime again in the next 4 or 5 months we'll get back out there.
Yeah, shout out to DJ No Name. Do you guys plan to kind of do more of those like on Mondays or?
Yeah, I don't know if I plan on doing them not on Mondays as much, and maybe more in the week. And so the next one will be April 7th for First Friday downtown. And it'll be at Living Arts. And accompanied with that, we'll actually be doing an art gallery. So we'll have a couple hundred paintings there done by 80 or 90 different artists.
Cool.
And V Nice will be in there displaying a bunch of his work. And then we'll have a stage set up, some projection stuff by Iconic Lighting. And then that one we're going to have, I think, just 5 artists on. But then we'll have another one on the 13th in the same space, in the same gallery space.
Is that a Friday?
Thursday.
Okay.
The first one's a Friday.
Okay.
And the second one's a Thursday.
I think I do like that. Yeah, like have your art home Mondays and then like kind of provide other things like throughout the week. I think a Friday sounds really cool. Oh, okay. Speaking of like collaborations and like different spaces you're in, I saw something about Park Grove. You guys were doing like art home on like a Sunday or something. What's that?
Yeah, so Jordan Hale, who's a bass player, just a musician in Tulsa, but predominantly plays bass. He lives at this building that used to be a church, and now it's run by some people kind of doing some stuff similar to Art Home. You know, they're just trying to start a creative community, which I'm very encouraging of anybody who wants to start creative communities. Really, Art Home's just kind of proved to me that there's plenty of people in Tulsa that need that like, you know, we have space for plenty, like as many spaces as people are willing to provide.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they just, it's Sundays is their big day of like kind of Art Home type stuff, but it's more of like it's a little bit quieter, maybe a little more intimate. But it was still fun, you know, we still got together and made some art and were able to chat, and we kind of sat around round tables, and they were trying to change things up from how they were doing it before. I think really they were trying to be a venue, then found out that the building they were in was zoned to be a church. And so the idea was that they were like, well, we'll just start a church even though none of us are particularly religious. So they started this just kind of like creative church.
That's
and
cool.
So at first they were kind of following like how a church would do it, but in just, you know, not talking about the same things. And recently they've kind of gone into more of like an Art Home type, you know, just kind of gather around and create some art, or, you know, listen to some people do some music, and they always do like some affirmations. And
I was gonna say, yeah, like it doesn't have to be, you know, like church type vibe, but yeah, like maybe speaking to the people and like, you know, we should all do this. Or,
yeah, and I think there was a woman who read about like she just kind of read like an astrology piece or something, you know, about the moon we were in. So that was interesting, but it's really great. They're really nice people as well, and there's actually like quite a few Art Home people that show up to that as well. But then they do like choir get-togethers on Mondays, and they do some other like different creative things that are more, I guess, niche and more kind of like directed towards, you know, Art Home's just kind of like a free-for-all.
everybody come and do whatever.
I think it's cool to have more of like directed stuff, you know, so like if somebody wants to do choir, you know, they can just show up and figure out how to do different harmonies, or, you know, how to sing with people, which is a really
I want to get
cool
into
thing.
that. I joined a church choir.
No, yeah, you should go. And Jordan's really talented with music, and he's really good at helping people.
That's
and
cool.
He's also like a very open person, so he's, you know, non-judgment stuff, just like Art Home.
Wow, I do appreciate that, having, you know, multiple different types of spaces, creative spaces, because, you know, there's more days in a week, and like, you know, Monday's not the only day that we can, you know, have fun.
Yeah,
so.
it's not. And I mean, we've averaged like 120 for like 3 Mondays straight.
Wow.
And so there's plenty of space for like 60 people to be somewhere else. On like, that's all I'm saying. I love having everyone over here, and it's great, but like there's plenty of, you know, opportunity for other people to open it up. And, you know, because even when there's just 40, 50, 30 people at Art Home, it's just as fun, you know, and everyone still is able to create and hang out together.
So you said there should be more of like niche type, like community, you know, creative spaces. I saw you tweeting something about like a pole dancing.
Yeah, there's some dancers that have been coming and they've wanted to. They're like, that's my art, and I want to, like, how can I
Would they
express
provide
myself?
the poles?
Yeah,
Or?
they said they're gonna bring it there. So the
Mm.
poles, I guess, you just
Yeah.
tighten up on
Suction it,
the.
yeah, to the ceiling. Okay.
But yeah, so they
Mhm.
said they're gonna do that, and I think they were saying that they wanted to like open it up and like let whoever wants to try pole. You know, maybe some people have always wanted to try it but never really been around it. You never know. So yeah, that'll happen here pretty soon. We're opening up another room. It's a don't room. The room that
Here.
says don't.
Oh, okay. The
No,
don't room. Yeah, every
at the
time
top
it's
it
like,
says
what's in
don't.
there? Is it
It's
big
about
in
to
there?
be a do. Yeah, that's like the biggest room upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be kind of like a little Turkish lounge, like floor couch place with
Nice.
some books and writing stuff, and more like
Writing.
conversational.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
Because
that's one of the things that I enjoy doing a lot too,
Mhm.
is writing and reading. So I was thinking that we just didn't have that vibe.
it
going
is
on yet.
it is a vibe, because I remember when you opened that back room, like on the left, with the roof and
Mhm.
stuff. It does create a different atmosphere. Like if you kind of want to like paint in the quiet or have more conversation, that room is good for
Yeah.
that. So I like the lounge. I'm here for the
Yeah.
lounge. I like that. Hmm.
Well, so I was just going to go ahead and share my insight to the art house, which is I'm a comedian. So when I come to the art house, I like to sit there and write. So I thought that was great that you guys got into that part of it, because I was only coming here in the summertime. It was last summer. It was before I got really super busy. And I was just sit by the pool and just like soak up the environment of what's happening around. And I would just like literally sit there in my robe with my joke books out and drink my LaCroix. And I'm sure people are like, what's this guy doing? And I'm like, dude, I'm going to get plenty of great material out of this. Not that I'm like, using people for material, but it's like an inspiration to be around a community of people.
And that's how you write comedy.
Exactly.
Just live life and yeah.
I felt like you're one of the staples in Tulsa as far as people that create the culture. And I think that's like an important thing that a lot of people are missing out on. They're like trying to buy into a culture or like take a part of a culture, but they're not trying to give anything back to it or help create it or sustain it for that matter.
Yeah, I will say that another reason I started Art Home is because I just there were people who I thought were trying to create community, and in the end it kind of seemed like they were maybe just trying to like profit off the community, which a community to me is so important that I just didn't think that, I don't know. I thought that would make it really unorganic and not like a natural thing, and you could always tell when people like got into that like
Yep,
grabby,
forcing
greedy
it.
side or whatever. So that's kind of always been my goal too, is like just community without the needing something from somebody or being like, you guys got to pay me money or do whatever, so it's like it just creates that feel of like, oh, we're here just because we want to be here with each other, not because it's like benefiting someone other than myself and yourself, and we're just iron sharpening iron.
I honestly like love the whole community of it. Like I know, like even if I don't go for a few weeks or whatever, like when I do come, I see everybody and I'm welcome just like as if I was there every other week, which I love about that. So I remember the first night I met you was outside the back of the Sound Pony, and I was with Kian, the drummer in my band, and him and Nicola had told me that they knew you forever, and like it was just the most chill interaction we had back there, smoking a blunt per usual. I'm like, I was like on a weed hiatus at the time, so I think you got me super fucking high. Like I was like, oh man, I need to go home kind of high. And I don't think Kian had ever seen me like that. He's like, yeah, it's my friend JB. He's like a rapper. So like the next day I was on my way to work. I'm like looking up Soulrstar. So that brings me to my next topic, which is the song Coco, which is one that I love. That was like the first one I heard, I think. So I think whenever songs are like the first one you hear, they kind of stick with you forever, a little bit more than all the rest of them. So of course I do have like other favorite songs, especially from the Ferndad listing. But I wanted to know like kind of what beach did you have in your mind?
Man, so Coco was super fun. I have a friend named Sam Barker in Nashville. He's a incredible guitarist, vocalist, musician. But yeah, me and him just kind of, I think it was over COVID, we were like, oh, let's just make something. Like, everybody was bored and trying to figure out what to do or whatever. So I sent him just some like drum beats that I had kind of sent down, like recorded, and was like, okay, I could flow over this. And he just sent back a bunch of guitar. Like, he basically sent back a full done song. He was like, oh yeah, I just kind of had this chord progression laying in the background. I was like, bro, that's sick. Like, I love that one. And I think he sent me 3 different ones, and that was the one that was like, that's it.
I loved it. I'm from the beach, so I was like, yeah, a little taste of home in here in Tulsa.
Yeah.
I feel like it did hit at the right time too, because like you said, everybody was kind of in that darkened state. Everybody was just looking for something to feel happy about.
Yeah, for sure. That's what the song was really about, was just kind of like going to your little happy place or whatever.
So back on the music subject, as far as like your different bands go, another question I had was, where does Soulrstar end and Ferndad begin?
Man, another $1 million question.
Yeah.
So Ferndad, I'll just say the differences, because they don't really they're kind of like in unity with each other. But the differences are that Ferndad is really like a trio of me, Sam, and Aaron. And Soulrstar is really just like a bunch of dumbass songs that I wrote that they play and make a lot better when they play them.
Nice.
So that's really the difference. And Soulrstar is like a lot more rapping and then going into this. And it's just like stuff that I basically did for a long time over beats, and then I just talked some really talented people into playing behind me.
I love them.
Yeah, we started out with Soulrstar, and that actually, all that was because of the aforementioned DJ No Name. So we made an album with Topeka, the coffee company, and it was only available like on the bottom. You had to.
That was going to be one of my
QR
other
code.
questions, actually. So go ahead and tell us about it.
Yeah, so that kind of sparked doing the live band stuff, because we did that, and then he was like, yo, Topeka wants to know if you would record or if you would perform that live with a band. And I was like, I guess I could put a band together. And Sam and I had already at that point been kind of making some Ferndad songs just as a little duo, messing around. So I got him involved, and then Aaron, I'd known for a little bit, got him involved.
Most beautiful guitars.
Yeah, dude, he fucking kills it. And so then, yeah, the band was formed, and there's not really an ending or beginning to either band, I guess. Long story short, it's really all the same thing. Like,
it's beautiful, though.
We're going to play at the Living Arts one, and it's Ferndad plus Soulrstar. It's just like
nice.
a conglomeration of, all of them. So.
It all works. Go ahead.
So you're doing, I know you have a show coming up, but did you guys add 2 new members, or is this just for this?
No, we added 2 new members. So we lost our drummer last year just due to life reasons that he was going through. And so we took a little bit of a break, but during that time we got a whole new rhythm section. Sam was playing the bass, and we decided to throw him to second guitars and bring in Dustin, who we met at Art Home. Dustin just started coming to Art Home, and he was such a good bass player that we were like, hey man, you want to come, practice with us and give it a shot? And turned out he enjoyed practicing with us. And then Robert, I actually met working on the set of a Girl Scout murders movie. And we ended up hitting it off, and he was saying he was looking for a band to play in, and just kind of worked out all in the right time. But yeah, so we're a 5-piece now. And our first full show of that is at Vanguard next week. That'll be our first time really just playing a whole show as a 5-piece. But I mean, so far in practice, we sound a lot more full, a lot better. Dustin just is a bass player, and he thinks like a bass player, so that a lot of the lines are kind of held down, more steady, which Sam was great too, but I think Sam's probably a better guitar player than bass player, and he thinks more like a guitar player, so now he's on an instrument that feels more natural to him. And having 2 guitars, you probably know as somebody in a band, it just makes things sound
makes it
so
easier.
much
It makes it fuller. Yeah,
it's just crazy how much it adds, but different melody lines that you can do. So we're really excited about that. We got a bunch of shows actually lined up here in the next like 2 or 3 months, so it'll be our little dry run into the world as a band. Yeah.
Thanks, JB. I appreciate your time today.
All right, thanks, JB. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.